Where mediation hasn't resulted in a settlement, there's a further non-court dispute resolution option that's available to parties. In a finance context, we call them private FDRs. In the context of children cases, we call them private DRAs. The umbrella term is early neutral evaluation. The private FDR, I think, is a brilliant way of enabling parties in a case to test the strength of their own case, to listen to the other side's case, and then to benefit from a neutral an objective evaluation from the FDR judge. The entire day is without prejudice and in confidence, and that gives the parties the ability to make their best offers and to go over their red lines. On the day, after the case papers and written arguments are sent to the evaluator in advance, there are then oral submissions, and there might be some discussion about some of the trickier issues in the case. Then, about halfway through the day, the evaluator provides the parties with the evaluation, which is a neutral indication of what the evaluator thinks will be the most likely outcome at trial. Now, although that indication is non-binding, it really does help the parties to think about their case, settle their differences, and then go on later on in the day to negotiate a resolution. The FDR hearing is actually a mandatory part of the financial remedies process. So the real question actually is whether to have it in a courtroom setting or whether to conduct it privately. One great benefit is because the parties are able to choose the date and the location of the private FDR, they can very often have it much sooner than they would have a court FDR, which again brings the litigation to an end early and saves costs. Because the parties are able to hand-pick their judge, very often that judge is chosen by the parties for their expertise in that type of case. That gives everybody great confidence in what they have to say. The evaluator at a private FDR has time to read all the papers and hear all the submissions. That means that every issue can be fully considered, and it leads to indications and evaluations that are very detailed and very deep. And of course, being away from a courtroom setting hugely reduces the tension, and it enables the parties to have their FDR and hopefully resolve their case in a much more comfortable environment, like here at 1KBW, with catering facilities and dedicated rooms. I think, anecdotally, that about 9 out of 10 cases settle at a private FDR, which of course is a huge benefit to the parties because it brings the litigation to an end early, and that saves everybody costs. There are some cases where parties simply can't settle at an FDR, and in those cases, the next stage, if they're in court proceedings already, the next stage is likely to be a final hearing. Or alternatively, if they want to stay out of the court system but still need to have their dispute resolved, the parties can agree to have their dispute resolved in arbitration.